Canelo Alvarez and Errol Spence Jr. That's one of those fights that's like, damn, I wish these guys were closer in weight. I wish these guys were in the same division because I want to see them fight. I don't want to miss that fight. We're going to talk about that, but before we do, y'all already know what to do. Make sure y'all hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel. We are almost at 100 subs, so let's go. What's up, YouTube? How you guys doing? And welcome back to SealsTv. So, like I said, Canelo Alvarez versus Errol Spence is that fight that you're like, damn, I wish these guys were in the same weight. I wish these guys were closer in weight because I want to see this fight. We need to see this fight. And yeah. Both of these boxers, these two boxers, Canelo Alvarez and Errol Spence, they are two of the top. These guys are two of the faces of boxing. These guys are two of the biggest stars in boxing, if not, the biggest, if not the biggest. These guys are selling pay-per-views. These guys are selling stadiums out. These guys are, racking in money, fighting these big names, all of it. All of it. And we need that fight. We need that fight. Please, we need that fight. Both of these guys, they're two divisions from each other. They got 154 and 160 are the two divisions separating the two. Canelo Alvarez is a WBC, WBA super middleweight champion of the world. Of the world, Craig. Errol Spence is the IBF, WBC welterweight champion of the world. Both of these guys have goals. Both of these guys have short-term goals. Both of these guys have big goals that they want to achieve soon. Both of these guys want to be undisputed champion in their respected weight division. Canelo Alvarez, Errol Spence are both, in the same spot in their career when it comes to, both of them have 2 titles. Both of them have 2 more titles to go. Canelo Alvarez, is fighting Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders is going to be a tough fight for Canelo Alvarez. Billy Joe Saunders is legit. Billy Joe Saunders is a pretty good fighter. He is. And I know you got those people that's like, well, Billy Joe Saunders did not look that good in his last outing. We've seen the same thing with Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury didn't look that good out of Wilder. Then he fought Deontay Wilder, and, a lot of people had him outboxing Deontay Wilder pretty much the whole fight. So that means nothing. Billy Joe Saunders is a great fighter, and it's going to be a tough fight for Canelo. It's going to be a good fight to watch, so y'all stay tuned. Errol Spence has Dennis Ugas, who is a great fighter. Cuban background, big, strong welterweight, who gave Sean Porter all he could handle. All he could handle. Most people think Dennis Ugas won the fight. Both of these guys have, if both of these guys are to be successful in their next unification bout, they each have 1 guy left before they become undisputed. Canelo Alvarez has Caleb Plant. Caleb Sweet Hands Plant. Caleb Plant probably has one of the coolest names in boxing. Sweet Hands. But Caleb Plant is a tough fight for Canelo as well. I see a lot of people, Caleb Plant's not strong enough, blah, blah, whatever. Caleb Plant is a tough fight for Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez has 2 tough fights. So if he's to be successful, get a man his credit. Because sometimes, as boxing fans, we don't give these fighters enough credit for beating these, great fighters. Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, both tough fighters for Canelo Alvarez. Errol Spence has one more fight, and then he's undisputed. And really, I can just get up and go because y'all already know who he got to fight. I'm gonna go ahead and go. Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Bud Crawford is mean as hell. Terrence Bud Crawford can fight his ass off. We all know that. Terrence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence are both in the top 3 in their pound for pound list. Everybody's pound for pound list. If he's not, you are smoking something and you need to go get checked. You hear that? Because these guys are definitely in the top 3. This is a 50-50 fight. This is the biggest fight in boxing right now. This is the fight everyone needs to see. I don't even need to talk about that fight. Terrence Bud Crawford would be the last person for Errol Spence to be undisputed champion of the world. And if both are to be successful, where does Errol Spence go? Errol Spence said he has 2 to 3 more fights at 147 pounds. And if my math is correct, Dennis Ugas, Terrence Bud Crawford. So that's 1, 2. Y'all count with me. 1, 2. I'm just playing. But where does he go next? Does he go to 154? Errol Spence stablemate Jermell Charlo fights at 154. Jermell Charlo actually has a fight with Brian Castano to be undisputed champion at 154 pounds. If he wins, does he stay at 154? If he loses, does he stay at 154? That is the unknown. For me, this is just my opinion. I feel like Jermell Charlo, win, lose, or draw, will stay at 154. I feel like Errol Spence will skip 154 and campaign at the 160 pound division. Errol Spence talked about that. He talked about skipping 154 pounds and just going straight to 160. And the guy's big enough to do it. He can do it. He's big enough to do it, and he can do it. Once he gets to 160, that's when that fight is really going to be talked about. Canelo Alvarez, Errol Spence is going to be really talked about because Canelo Alvarez stated that the only guy that he would go to 164 is Errol Spence Jr. And that made a lot of Jermall Charlo fans mad. That made a lot of Gennady Golovkin fans mad, and so on. But at the same time, boxing not only is boxing, it's not only about legacy, especially right now. This day and age, it's not just about legacy. You know, it's about a business. You know, people want to be able to take care of themselves for the rest of their life. You know, their families, and whatever. Errol Spence Jr. is the money man when it comes to 160. When Errol Spence goes to 160, Errol Spence is going to be the money man. Errol Spence coming off of a Terrence Crawford win, that just boosts his stock, skyrockets out the sky. He's the man. And then you got Canelo Alvarez, who's the man. These guys fight each other. I'm telling you, sell out Cowboy Stadium, that place will be crazy. Tickets will be crazy high. And they'll give us a great fight, man. No matter who you got winning the fight, no matter if you got Canelo Alvarez winning the fight, no matter if you think Canelo Alvarez is too big, too strong for Errol Spence, it's a great fight. No matter if you got Errol Spence, you say, oh, Errol Spence, his work rate is too good for Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez gets tired after about the 7th round or whatever. It's still a great fight. But to me, that's my big fantasy fight, man. I hope we get the fight one day. You know, they just recently asked Canelo about it, and he stated, we'll see. You know, we'll see. So, both of these guys are both talking about the fight. I think both of these guys want the fight. Not only for the fight, you know, they respect each other as, you know, fighters. Canelo Alvarez respects Errol Spence. He said he's great, and so on. Errol Spence respects Canelo Alvarez, says he's great, and so on. But like Canelo Alvarez said, we'll see. We'll see. And we definitely will. But before I go, man, y'all let me know down in the comments. If this fight is to take place, I ain't even gonna get into who wins or not, who wins, who loses. But if this fight is to take place, who wins the fight? Who y'all got winning the fight? You team Canelo? You team Spence? Y'all let me know down in the comments. Team Spence, team Canelo. Y'all let me know down in the comments. And yeah, before we go, y'all already know what to do. Make sure y'all drop them likes. Hey, subscribe to the channel. We are almost at 100 subs.